Welcome to the fifth topic, classical conditioning, in our unit on manipulation. Really, we're looking at thinking and learning and how our behavior can be influenced by our thinking and how our learning can be influenced by the environment. All right, so classical conditioning, 2 lessons. Again, like operant conditioning, a lot of content here to cover in 2 lessons, but planning out the course, this paper 1, there's just heaps of content. They've taken paper 1 and paper 2 from the old syllabus and crammed it into one exam. It's a lot of content. Pavlov's dogs and fear conditioning. All right, so we're going to learn about Pavlov's dogs. We'll use this to understand classical conditioning and how it changes behavior. Quizzes, I'm calling it quizzes. What's the new word? Wayground or something? I prefer quizzes. I'm going to keep calling it that. Classic clip from The Office. Now, students may know, 1 or 2 in your class may know about Pavlov's dogs or Pavlovian conditioning. See if anyone knows which theory this is based on. All right, think, pair, share. Have they ever heard of these words? And assuming most won't, to give them something to talk about, we can ask, what do they think classical conditioning is? Look at the image and think about the video they just saw. All right, let's do an experiment. Now, for this, I should have said, you'll need a water pistol. I like to use a water pistol. I think it's better than a Nerf gun or like a dart gun because I think they hurt more. Water pistol is pretty harmless. I like to use a poncho, make it a little bit more dramatic. Students are going to figure out how to condition someone to fear something harmless. Now, the only prop is a water pistol. I teach at all boys school. When I do this, I don't give every group a water pistol. You could if you like. You could give them an empty water pistol. That could be a good prop. If you go to the dollar shop, give everyone an empty water pistol. And then the first group to plan it properly gets to run the experiment on the teacher. The teacher is a subject. Up to you, but that's how I would do it. Okay, they know classical conditioning. How are they going to know these key terms? They'll probably have to look in the book. How would they know classical conditioning? I must have got this. Okay, so I'll recheck my lesson plan. They're probably going to need to use the terminology in the workbook. I just want to make sure that won't give away any of the content, right? Because if they look in the workbook, sometimes, in the textbook, sometimes it has the answers there. Actually, it just says here. Well, let's just try it by maybe give them 3 minutes, just by looking at the names of the terms. And then if they struggle, they can use the textbook to look at the answers. Okay. Now, second task to understand classical conditioning. Here, we're going to give them the end of the experiment and then see if they can work backwards to figure out how they got there. Okay, so by the end of the experiment, every time Pavlov rang a bell, the dog started to drool. How did he get them to do this? And see if students can lay this out. And there's space in the workbooks for their notes. Okay, now they can check their answers. There's a short 3-minute video. This is a very good recreation of Pavlov's dog's experiment. All right, then chalk and talk. What is classical conditioning? Looking at the terminology, Pavlov's dogs, and then the homework task is McDonald's. This is an interesting, this could be a real world example, and it is in the textbook. Don't tell the students that because then they can use that for their homework. But see if they can explain how kids can be classically conditioned based on the McDonald's arches. All right, now in the next lesson, we will look at a specific example of classical conditioning, fear conditioning.